Father Bless, what are some ways that we can be more motivated to pray? I find myself watching Orthodox videos and listening to Orthodox podcasts all day, but when it comes to actually praying, I find it very difficult. Do you think that the abundance of Orthodox content easily accessible to us can turn Orthodoxy into something we consume rather than something we live? How can we avoid this temptation? Thank you. Well, I think, yes, it can. There is a temptation to basically want to be entertained and to be fed and to constantly be on the receptive side, the passive receiver, and not to be engaged in practical, virtuous activity. It's a temptation, absolutely. There is that problem. There are people who are engaged so much in the theoretical, they're running ahead without the presuppositions for the spiritual life. They're running ahead beyond what is possible into areas that they cannot achieve, and yet they think they are, and it could be delusional. So you have to be grounded in a practical spiritual life in the parish and among your family and among your relatives and friends. That's where you're going to make progress, when you have you're long suffering, you're patient, you're humble, you're denying yourself, you're keeping the commandments. It is a given. The commandments are assumed if you're going to have a prayer life. The Lord will not grant you any exalted experience of himself without practical spiritual discipline and virtues. It's not going to happen. All right. You got to do both. You got to be well grounded in the daily spiritual struggle of prayer and fasting and love of neighbor. And then the grace will come in prayer. Right? It's both and. Both and. So how do you dial it back if you're just a passive receptor and you're titillating your oh, this is so interesting. I just want to get more and more. And I want to learn, because there's a honeymoon like that. There's a time, it's called the catechumenate. That's why it should happen 3 years and not 6 months. There's a time when we're going to sit at the feet, and we're not going to be able to do a lot because we're still not initiated, right? The mystagogy has not come to fruition. We're not there yet. And even as a young Orthodox, still going to go on. There's going to be a honeymoon of sorts, right? But I guarantee you, if you're making progress, there's going to be times when you're going to have tremendous struggles, tremendous temptations, you're going to be required to have tremendous patience. And that's a good thing, right? That is a good thing. You need that. The grace will be rescinded and you'll fall flat on your face. And that is a good thing. The Lord wants us to participate in the mystery of the cross. He wants us to add our own to the whole struggle. He wants us to participate. So dial it back. Tell yourself, I'm going to watch whatever, Tuesday night or whatever it is coming up, but I'm also going to do this. I'm not going to just do that. And I'm not, if I am at the point right now where I'm just consuming, I'm going to dial that back. I'm going to lay it out that I'm going to do this many times, this many hours, and no more per week. And now I'm going to take those extra hours and I'm going to go do something that's just a simple, practical, virtuous act for my neighbor, my brother, my sister, my mother, my father, whatever it is. I'm going to go give them a gift. I'm going to go weed their garden. I don't know. Figure it out. You have many opportunities. Everyone has opportunities for this kind of thing. And we need to just say, okay, now I'm going to stop and I'm going to get up and I'm going to go help my son, my daughter, my mother, my father, my brother, my sister, whatever it is. And I'm not going to constantly be about acquiring because you can become like a glutton, a spiritual glutton, but you're not then transforming all that into action and prayer and fasting and virtue. And so what's the point? I mean, St. Paisius famously said, we don't read in order to acquire knowledge, but we read in order to apply what we read. So if you're reading the lives of the saints, the whole point is to become like them, right? You don't need to read 40 lives of the saints. You need to read lives of the saints, as many as you can, but to apply them, and to imitate them. That's why we're reading the lives of the saints.